Yo, what is up guys? It's me, Zachary, back bringing you some more NBA news and updates. Guys, we have a heck of a lot to talk about today, and all of the stories are pretty much bangers, especially for this time of the offseason where it's pretty dry. But these stories are actually kind of big, so we got to talk about them today. But before that, you guys know the drill. Go ahead and smack that like button to show your support for the channel, as it does help the channel grow. I really appreciate you guys, but let's see if we can get this video past 3,000 likes. That being said though, let's just take a look at everything we got to talk about today. Let's go. First up in the news, the New York Knicks once again found themselves on the butt end of jokes from fans across the world this summer, after they missed out on signing Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, as well as missing out on the #1 overall pick of the draft to select Zion Williamson. However, had expectations not been so high for New York entering into the offseason, then I think most people's perceptions on the offseason that the Knicks did have would change, as drafting a player with as much promise as RJ Barrett and signing breakout star Julius Randle are huge additions to a team that desperately needed an upgrade in the talent department. Despite that though, the Knicks still aren't projected to be very good at all this season, as most preseason power rankings have the Knicks listed as one of the 5 worst teams in the league heading into the year. Don't tell that to second year forward Kevin Knox though, as he just made news this morning for saying that he has been very impressed with what he's seen out of the voluntary scrimmages that the New York Knicks have been holding before training camp begins. Here's a listen to what he had to say. "We've had very competitive practices so far. You can tell all the guys are hungry and looking forward to training camp. A lot of guys have been impressive. You can tell a lot of guys have been working on their games all summer. I watched a lot of these guys playing on TV last year. Everyone's game has gotten a lot better. I can't wait to get to training camp and gel together." Kevin Knox didn't necessarily stop there though, as he went on to say that this is now a completely different New York Knicks team compared to the one that just won 17 games last year. "We just got guys now who are going out, playing hard, talking trash. We're a family, smile with each other after, but between the lines, it's a totally different team than last year. You can definitely tell the whole tenacity we're playing with. It's definitely going to carry over to the season. We have a lot of guys going after each other. That's what we want." Okay guys, look, the Knicks do have a whole lot of young talent. One player in particular who's been getting talked about as of late due to the FIBA World Cup has been Frank Ntilikina, who was killing it for France during the tournament. But alongside him, you also have Dennis Smith Jr., Alonzo Trier, Mitchell Robinson, Kevin Knox, Julius Randle, and RJ Barrett. I mean, that's a heck of a lot of young talent. So I do believe that the Knicks will be one of the more intriguing teams to keep an eye on this upcoming season, and well into the foreseeable future as well. Next up in the news, over the weekend, a lot of fuss was surrounding James Harden after he came out and admitted that he was still somewhat tight over the fact that he lost out in the MVP award last season to Giannis Antetokounmpo, stating that he had a historic season that people will have a hard time believing 10 to 15 years down the line. I mean, scoring at least 30 points for over 30 consecutive games, having 8 games that he scored 50 plus, 2 games with 60 plus, and not to mention the fact that he averaged over 36 points per game throughout the entire season. And after making those comments, like I said, Harden started to receive a lot of hate from the mainstream media. To me though, this just solidifies in my mind how much James Harden actually cares about his overall legacy. I mean, this is a guy who feels like he should have won 3 MVP awards right now. The one he won in 2018, as well as the one that he feels he should have won over Curry, and now the one he feels that he should have won over Giannis as well. And when it comes to disputing legacies and remembering how great a player was years down the line, having 3 MVPs looks a heck of a lot better than just having 1. Further proof though that Harden cares a lot about his legacy came earlier in the summer, when Harden was talking about how he was a guy who made the step back 3 popular, and how he wants that shot to be associated with his name when it's all said and done, similar to how Kareem had a skyhook and how Dirk has his patented shot as well. So with all of that in mind, it's now a little bit easier to see where James Harden's coming from. Once again, this is just the talk of a guy who cares a lot about his legacy. In his mind, he should have 3 MVPs when he only has one. For our next story of the day, even though they traded for Jimmy Butler this past offseason, most people's attention for the Miami Heat this upcoming season has been on Justise Winslow, who's the guy that Miami will really need to take that next step this season to be the second star alongside Butler if Miami is going to be a more serious threat to teams like Philadelphia and Milwaukee in the East, as Winslow started to break out over the second half of the season last year, when Miami made the bold move to try out Winslow at the point guard position, a move in which he thrived in for the 37 games that he started at the point guard position, as his averages went from just over 9 points per game as a starting forward to over 14 points per game as the starting point guard. And due to the success that Winslow found at the point guard spot, not too many people should have been surprised when Winslow came out yesterday and stated that he wants the point guard spot to be his for the Heat this upcoming season, something that we all kind of expected to happen anyways, barring some sort of trade. Or is it that I should say this is something that all of us minus the experts over at ESPN thought would happen, as when news about Winslow wanting to start at the point guard spot broke, the good people over at ESPN were caught slacking, as not a single one of them knew what they were talking about when discussing this Winslow news. Like, this was really bad. Take a look.
Justise Winslow told the South Florida Sun-Sentinel on Sunday at a charity event for the Robbins House Family Foundation that he'd like to change positions this season for the Heat. Despite not starting a point guard a single game since being drafted in 2015, he said, quote, "I'm looking forward to playing point guard this season. We'll see how that works out. But that's my plan, is to play point guard and be the point guard for this team. I just think for what our team wants out of that position, somebody who is a great communicator, somebody who is vocal, someone who gets guys in their spots, I think pretty much I embody all of that. So that's why I think I'm a good fit."
Do you think Goran Dragic cares at all, Rach? Because what has Justise Winslow really done in his career to this point? But when I saw this quote and we were discussing it, I'm going, Justise Winslow?
So
really?
Now, I think most people understand by now that ESPN shouldn't be watched for serious, in-depth talk about the game, as much as it should be watched for just entertainment purposes only. But that being said, having no idea what you're talking about and going on national TV talking as if you do and then messing up big time like this isn't a good look for the network at all, since all it did was make it clear that not a single person on this segment knew anything about the season that Miami had at all last year. And not even just that, they didn't even bother to try and do any research on the topic before going live talking about it either. I mean, it's just a bad look overall, and now you guys see why players cringe so much at the fact that these are the same people who are voting for awards such as MVP. I mean, that's really not good. And for what will be our final story of the day, and I have to say that this last bit of news is actually kind of disgusting. Not like you shouldn't be eating while watching or listening to it disgusting, but disgusting in the sense of it goes against just basic human decency disgusting. Okay, so by now it's become clear that the relationship between Lonzo Ball and his father Lavar Ball isn't going so well. It may have already been on the decline before Alan Foster was caught stealing millions of dollars from Lonzo through BPP, but afterwards, it's been really bad, and now it's gotten even worse, as during a dispute over the future of the Big Baller brand, a brand that Lonzo clearly wants nothing to do with, Lavar seriously crossed the line. Like, he crossed the line big time in a discussion with Lonzo about the future of the brand, and I don't even want to talk too much more about it, so I just want you guys now to listen to exactly how this conversation went. Here it is.
Would you change the name?
Hell no, I wouldn't change the name.
I'm just saying from a marketing standpoint.
From a marketing standpoint, regardless of what it is.
I'm just saying, that's my opinion. I'm just asking a question.
I'm just saying. I'm not changing that at all. I come out with a name and then somebody tell me to change it. That's like me telling me to change your name. That's like people saying, oh, hey, change Lonzo's name to Alfonso on the fact that he's been damaged goods for the last 2 years.
Calling your son damaged goods when you've been using his image and likeness to build up your own brand over the past few years is not only crossing the line, but it makes me wonder if Lavar Ball even knew there was a line in the first place. And once again, I just look at everything Lavar has been doing even before Lonzo got into the NBA, and I question how much of it was done in the interest of what's best for Lonzo versus how much of it was done what was in the best interest for Lavar himself. Lonzo Ball could have been just fine and probably better off without his father making all of those ridiculous claims that he was making before he was in the NBA. But not only that, also the decision that Lavar made to have his son start a brand for himself instead of signing a contract with any of the already established brands that were lining up to do business with Lonzo. Seriously, how much of this was done to benefit Lonzo versus how much of this did Lavar do to benefit himself? Because it's clear now that Lavar needs Lonzo a lot more than Lonzo needs Lavar. And this whole situation kind of reminds me of the situation between Kobe Bryant and his father. Kobe's father used to do similar things to what Lavar is doing now, whether it be demanding that Adidas have him on the payroll back during the early days of Kobe's career, or hoodwink Kobe into thinking that it would be a good idea to buy a team in Italy, a team that was the best and most successful team in Italy at the time, before running it into nearly bankruptcy in under a year, a move that cost Kobe millions as well. No joke, Joe Bryant probably would have been LeVar Ball before LeVar Ball had he had the internet at his disposal. They were that similar of parents when their sons made it to the NBA. Let me know what you guys think of this down in the comment section below though. How do you feel about LeVar Ball calling his son damaged goods like that? How do you feel about that whole exchange, and where do you think that their relationship will go from here? Let me know down in the comment section below, but that is actually going to do it for everything that we have to talk about today. Thank you guys so much for watching. You already know that you are the real MVPs, but like I said, make sure that you smack that like button, as well as make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with post notifications turned on so you don't miss out on future videos. Thank you once again for watching though, but until next time, keep getting the buckets, Team SDC, and I'm out of here. Peace!